disorder. You heard me right. Attention deficit disorder. Coach?
Yes, which, believe it or not, is an actual classification. It's usually suffered by people who have ADHD, I believe it is.
Uh-huh.
Most folks who don't have that challenge still suffer from
Attention deficit
disorder.
Go ahead and define that for the listeners.
Which basically is well, first of all, our brain works has two parts between what we.
Do we have any guesses as to what attention deficit disorder might be? Go ahead, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat if you think you know what attention deficit disorder is. We're waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, finish typing. I'll give you 5 more seconds before Coach Darren goes ahead and gives you the definition. Questioning yourself. I'm gonna need you to allow StreamYard access to see your name. Because I'm not sure who posted that. It might be Ray. I'm not sure, but let StreamYard have access to see your name. But the response is questioning yourself. So it's been about 5 seconds,
yes.
Coach. So go right ahead.
You know, that's actually part of it, and I'm trying to make this as simple as possible without making it clinical. But it really comes down to you're setting your intentions to do something, but the actions never follow through.
So sort of like good intentions.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So that you may start out by questioning yourself, which will eventually lead you to talking yourself out of it. But it really means, we start off with the best intentions, but for some reason we don't follow through. And I would have to ask the question: do you find yourself doing this more times than not? Yeah. Well, that's somebody getting sidetracked. That's that's one reason. But when we say getting sidetracked, that also leaves like the slight out.
It gives you that excuse.
Right. I have something else to do.
Got something else to do. I intended on getting that done, but I found something else to distract me.
Yeah. And it's actually, I think it's a form of procrastination. But like I said, for people who suffer from ADHD, the psychologists say, it's our brain is 2 parts and they don't work in tandem. First part, I think it's the final part says, yes, I'm going to do this. And all think about New Year's, people come with the best intentions.
Mm-hmm.
We know those folks that always fall through, I think by the second week.
Usually 2 weeks in. Definitely it doesn't last any longer than the second week of February.
Yep.
So
I want to know, does anybody out there can relate to that issue? And I'm talking about not once or twice, but if you find yourself doing it more than not, when you're not accomplishing the things that you would like.
Yeah, and sometimes it's really intentions are aligned with our values, right? And if we haven't had someone, and it doesn't have to be family, but a mentor or a coach that can help us navigate through some of the things of life. And I'm going to be very broad and general here because we could go down the rabbit hole, but it's really shaped by your core values, what it is that you really believe. It goes back to our BET system, right? What do we believe? What is it that we value the most? What are our core beliefs? And if we don't have a really tight value system, or if we were never really taught that there are some things that we need to ingratiate in our lives and hold, I would say, the torch to, then we're really not going to commit to any one thing and stay focused on it.
Right.
Because it has to be rooted and grounded in your core.
Yes. And I think the core within the core is how you value yourself. Mhm. You know, and I think I'm going to put something out there to Miss Edwina, all right, who gave the last response. But I know, Edwina, that you are heavy into health and fitness. My understanding is that you are a personal coach, fitness coach. So I'm going to ask this question to you. When you decided to take hold of your fitness, do you remember the conversations that you had with yourself before you actually started? Mhm. Can you share some of the things that got you in the right mindset so that when you hit that starting line, you said next Monday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you were ready to go? Because there are actions that you can take if you find yourself suffering from, attention deficit disorder.
Absolutely. So Edwina, if you are still listening or still watching, let us know what were some of those conversations that you had that empowered you, those encouraging conversations that you had with yourself, those positive conversations that you had with yourself when you said, enough is enough. I am going to commit to this physical health journey, which I haven't done before, but today I'm starting right now and I'm not looking back.
Yes.
Because you went on to get your physical training certification and you're out there doing some phenomenal things, and you have a whole group of women that you empower to be on this journey of physical fitness. So what were some of the conversations that you had to have with yourself to commit you to move forward and stay committed in that space?
And while we're waiting on her to respond, does anyone else who basically decided to make a change in their life and you were able to follow through? What were some of the things that you did to hold yourself accountable? When I first wanted IDD was actually through my niece, who shared a video clip of a doctor someone watching a doctor, and the doctor mentioned it. And again, that was my first time.
No, Edwina responded, so I'm going to read her response. But you go ahead and finish that, and I'll share her response.
And my niece, who openly said, "Oh," she goes, "Wow, I think I suffer from this." From again saying I'm going to do something but not do it.
Mm-hmm.
And just off the top of my head, I thought probably something to bridge that or to help you get beyond that. I said, is to get an accountability partner or group or coach, someone to kind of hold your feet to the fire. And then once you get into the habit, I think your brain, again, I'm saying I don't have any medical background to make this, but it's just my thought that I do know your brain rewires.
Absolutely.
So possibly having someone to hold you accountable is one way, and then you get into the habit, your brain rewires, and then you can then start making that bridge with everything else you do. The other thing too is interesting. We always talk about your circle, the people you surround yourself with. That's also something that's really important because, again, back to how our brain works,
Mm-hmm.
we have these things we call neurons in the brain, which basically it means we mirror other people's behavior in our space. Now, we pretty much know as growing up from years ago, you always pretty much said, yeah, you're pretty much going to be like, birds of a feather flock together type thing. You used to get yelled at if you were hanging out with the wrong people. Well, there is scientific proof that that does have an impact. So you want to be mindful of that. You want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Edwina said yes. What motivated her was that she was tired of being the unhealthy version of her best self. Summarizing, but I'm going to read her response. She said that she was tired of being fat. And she said that she said to herself, the self-talk, we've had a conversation about that as well, that she's worth it and she will follow through no matter what. She would be around. She wanted to, no matter what I want to be around for my family, I want to be healthy as I age gracefully. I said enough was enough. Let's do it. Haven't stopped yet. She kept going and she followed up with saying she was her own accountability partner and had to hold herself accountable. And that's key because no matter how many people you have rooting for you, if you haven't committed to yourself and you haven't started to hold yourself accountable for your own actions, then nothing is going to work.
Correct.
Nothing is going to work. So that is absolutely applaudable, Edwina, because you have done a phenomenal job.
Yes, and it actually amplifies again what we talked about just last week. What are those conversations you're having with yourself? And there are several other things you can do because I think that the deficit disorder is, I think it's associated with procrastination. And again, some people suffer from severe procrastination. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. Yeah, Coach Mitchell.
No, I was going to say, and the procrastination part is that we overthink and we superimpose restrictions upon ourselves before we even start the activity or the action.
Yes.
Right? So we create a whole lot of noise in our head before we even initiate taking that step forward to whatever it is that you want to do, but procrastinating in starting.
Yes. And just want to, just ask one question. Yeah, who do we have on besides Edwina? I can't see.
The issue that I'm having here is that we have two people watching from I Am Ready Network. So I will make the assumption that it may be Ray.
Ray, let me see.
And we have two on the Power of Now. So we do really encourage you to click on that link to allow StreamYard access just to see your name. It's not accessing your Facebook page and it's not to track you or anything like that. It's just so that we can see who's watching on Facebook, because we're not actually on Facebook. We're on a platform in a studio outside of Facebook. So we're streaming into the Facebook page, so we really can't see unless you allow StreamYard access to see your name. And again, it's only to see your name. Hi, Ray. Yes, we have Ray on, Edwina, and a couple of other people.
Okay. And the same thing with folks on YouTube. I can't see your names or anything at this point. I don't know if we'll show up after, but
generally on YouTube, they have to make a comment in the chat before you know who they are. But nevertheless, do that for us. We'd appreciate it.
Again, if anybody else, as we're dealing with that issue, by all means, let us know. But here's some of the things that you might want to do, and this is in any area of your life, because we do get ourselves psyched up in the moment to do something, and for some reason it fades away. As Edwina said, one, you got to have that self-talk, and you got to do it over and over and over again. Because what you're really doing with the self-talk is you're reprogramming your subconscious mind. And by reprogramming your subconscious mind, it actually changes your behavior. This is where actually, why affirmations are such a huge thing when done properly.
Absolutely. It's good to vocalize it
Yes.
as well as write it down,
Mhm.
because once you write it down, you're able to go back and refer to it and you see it. It's a visual depiction of what it was that you had in your mind intending to do. And once you see that in writing, it really gives you a little bit of accountability, right?
Yes.
Because you can't ignore it anymore.
Nope.
You can't ignore it anymore.
It's like it's almost like a contract that you're making. And again, key point, there is a difference between writing it down and typing it. Some people say, I'll do it on the computer. You can, but it's not as powerful as when you're actually writing it down.
Right. It's like cathartic.
Yes, it basically, again, it's something between the hand, the eye, and the brain. And the other thing too is, if anybody's, ever remember in school, if you ever acted up, been there, done that, and the teacher made you, write on a piece of paper or worse on the blackboard, I am or I will not do 100 times.
Or 500 times.
Yes. Believe it or not, that was reprogramming your subconscious mind. So it now sticks. I will not be that person, whatever it was. Now, granted, some people still probably acted out, but that's basically what you were doing there, whether that was their intention or not, but that was a purpose of writing it down. Okay, I see Edwin's comment. She was her own accountability partner, had to hold myself accountable. And I think go ahead, Coach Mitchell.
No, I was just going to say, be clear about what your objective is and what your intentions are.
Yes.
Because if you're throwing a whole lot of goals into the pot, that's going to have an adverse effect on what it is that you really are trying to achieve or accomplish.
Yes. So, and again, this can apply to any aspect of your life. We're going to stay with the health and wellness. You even want to start out by, again, having a visual of what you want to see, what you want to become, an actual visual. And this is where, again, visualization comes into play. But you want to have that. You want to write it down. You want to set some realistic goals. And again, you want to have that accountability partner. Now, here's the thing. If you're strong enough, you can be your own accountability partner. But if you know that you cannot, that's when you find someone else. And you have to submit to them. Because some people will say, yeah, hold me accountable. But when you start to hold them accountable, they get mad at you.
Get frustrated.
Yeah, you start challenging them. I thought you said you were going to the gym today. I thought you said you weren't going to eat that. Then they start to fight back. So you have to be willing to say, I need to do this no matter what.
Right. And you have to be willing to let some people go out of your circle. Just because, as Coach Darren was saying, you may have individuals who are going to fight you, and you may be that person.
Right.
So, don't get mad when people cut you off or leave you behind.
Yes.
Hi, Dad. Thanks for joining. So don't get upset when people leave you behind because they have set in your pity party intention deficit disorder chaos for a very, very long time. So, when people have thrown you the accountability lifeline to say, you know what, I'm going to walk this journey with you. I'm in it with you. Whatever you need, I'm here to support you. But you're the one that's constantly reverting back. then you really have to sit down and do some self assessment of what is it that I really want? What is it that I really believe in? What is my value system? And it's not a one day, one night, 1 hour conversation. It is a very didactic perspective of your inner self.
Yes. It's ongoing. Again, especially once you are able to assess where you are. Meaning, have I been fighting this battle for a week versus 5 years?
Or a lifetime.
Yeah, a lifetime. So based on where you are, it really says how deep do I need to go to change my thought process.
Right. And you have to be clear and transparent with yourself,
Mhm.
because a lot of times we are not transparent with ourselves, and we have that surface level conversation. And as soon as we get to that area that will really poke a hole into why we are stuck, we cease and desist all thoughts around whatever that intention is,
Mhm.
because we don't want to deal with that aspect of ourselves.
Correct. Years ago, I used to have this quote by my front door so people could see it on their way out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on a little card. Used to get these, I forgot what they call them. I sell these cards in my store.
Mm-hmm.
But the quote was, there are two things in this world, reasons and results. You will soon find that reasons don't matter. And people used to, give me a lot of grief about that. So I hate that quote. And even though I said the joking way, I think what it was is they knew there were probably areas in their life where they keep making up reasons.
Right. Or excuses.
Well, yeah, excuse me. And there is a slight distinction, but at the end of the day, even the reasons won't matter. So you begin to say something. How bad do I want to make this change? And there's so much information available now on how to change. So there's not even that excuse anymore. It's how much are you willing to invest in becoming the better version of yourself?
Right. Because now you can take out the pride of having to ask someone for help because you think they may perceive you as weak. So, the resources that are available, as you were saying, Coach, that are available to us, it removes those barriers of progress.
Yes.
Or towards our progress. So go ahead.
So, again, if you are dealing with this in any area of your life, I want you to, again, think about the excuses and ask Coach what to say. Be totally transparent. Because this is about you with you. And if you can't be honest with yourself, you're probably not being honest with anybody else. So ask yourself, sit down, when you have time alone, and just say, why haven't I made this change? And you want to pick a change that you know that you need to make.
Exactly. And I think the positive affirmations are instead of I'm going to, you definitely want to say I am, or I will be present today. I will do this, whatever that objective is today. So you want to be affirmative in your affirmations, in your intentions.
Yes. And like I said, I would just stress just a bit more to always say them in the present tense.
Yes.
And I don't want to go, deviate, but there is power when you start your affirmations with the words I am. There's a huge aspect of those two words, as you've heard me say before, the two most powerful words in any language.
Good evening.
In any language, and this is not a Darwinism. This has been stated by philosophers, psychologists, are the words I am. So when you say I am followed by something else, what you're doing is you're marrying those two things. And what do? They produce the result that you desire.
They actually close the gap, right? It's that gap that between I am, that I am, it closes the gap of procrastination.
Mhm.
Hi, Denise. Thanks for joining us. So,
So yes, when you do those affirmations and you say "I am," mhm, it does something to you physiologically and psychologically. Uh, and it's even better when you look in the mirror and recite your affirmations. It's even more powerful. Because what you're really doing is now you're reprogramming your thought process.
right.
Mhm.
And you even want to, throughout the day, be intentional about thinking about whatever you're doing to see if it's aligning with the
Yes.
intention, or are your choices really aligning with your intention.
Yep. And that's where we bring other people's conversation, that awareness. Mhm. When you start that, you will then have this sense of awareness where you do things out of habit. We've discussed that. 95% of our day is comprised of things we do out of habit. And though there are good things like that when we're driving, we pretty much, most people can drive and not really think much about it. Mhm. That kind of keeps, it's kind of an efficiency thing, the way our brain works. But it also allows us to do things out of habit that are not good for us. So by bringing that awareness into your space, every time you go to pick up something, like I said, you to go get that bagel in the morning or that donut in the morning, that is against what you say you want, you have that sense of awareness. There's where you look and you say, yeah, whoa, is this aligned with my intentions?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have that sense of awareness. You want to check your intentions. You want to surround yourself with people, preferably with someone who's on the same journey. Your accountability partner doesn't have to be on the journey. They can just hold you accountable, but it helps if they are on the journey too, because that's where you're mirroring neurons in the brain. You guys are mimicking each other, and that becomes beneficial because their behavior, you will actually, on a subconscious level, you will start to mirror, and vice versa. So you both become more powerful at the same time. Write it down. Again, is another boost for you to be able to follow through on your intentions. Your visualization, where if you got pictures of what you want to look like, and again, I keep repeating, this applies to any area of your life. Now, we pretty much know there's a whole lot of talk, about visualization and law of attraction and all of that space,
Mm-hmm.
that space. But there's science now that's backing it up. Mhm. And again, understanding how our bodies work. And I find it fascinating when you start to think about the little hacks that you can do to become the better version of yourself.
Right. And when you're setting goals, which
Mhm.
your intentions are,
Yes.
you want to set SMART goals.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, if you've ever been in a process improvement training session, or if you've been in Lean Six Sigma, whatever, if you're in corporate America, you know what SMART goals are. You want to make sure you set realistic goals. You want to make sure they're measurable, that you can actually quantify what you're doing. They have to be actionable, something that you
There we go. Go ahead.
okay, something that you have to take action on. They have to be actionable, and
Yeah, specific,
specific, measurable, actionable,
yes,
achievable,
yes,
results,
yes, and time.
and time. They have to have a timeline, so they're time sensitive. So you don't want to say, I'm going to lose weight.
Right.
Okay, when are you going to lose weight? So you have to keep going. You have to keep building upon that. I'm going to lose weight by X date, but I'm going to lose 10 pounds by X date.
Yes.
So, and then you keep track along the way in between. That's that I am that I am.
Yes.
So,
and I think the other thing too is, if it's about exercising, or if it's about becoming healthy, is your environment. You know what I mean? Like I said, your immediate environment,
Mhm.
it helps you because again, that's changing basically your perception of your reality. So how do you do that? If you know you want to go out in the morning walking or running, you lay out your clothes the night before because you're more apt to follow through
Mhm.
if it's things are laid out. The other thing too is your refrigerator. Mhm. And I've been sharing this with people. It was a hard lesson for me to learn, but it is the truth. And again, it's not a Darwinism. This is science. All right? Stop trying to exercise your weight off of you. It'll never, ever, 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 ever work. All right? Exercise does not lead to weight loss. Hmm? So, what do you want to do if you're trying to lose weight? Because one of those you do is and I've shared this with people, you can look at somebody outside running and you go, they have no business out here. You can look at the sneakers that they have. You can look how they dress. There's somebody who decided in the moment, I need to go run. And looking at them, they probably thought, I need to go run to lose weight. But all you have to do is just, look up how many calories a Snicker bar is versus how long you have to walk or run to burn those calories off. And it's a technique for all that. So exercise is good. Don't get me wrong. Exercise is absolutely good for health, but it is not the path you want to take if you're trying to lose weight. Now, what does that mean? It means bring it back to the environment. If that's your objective, you want to make sure that your refrigerator, that you have all the healthy foods up front. And if you still got any snacks or anything like that, you know what? Push them to the back. Because again, psychologically, from a psychological perspective, we tend to grab stuff that's easy when we go to the refrigerator.
Absolutely.
If you know
And it's
something's
usually in
back,
right. It's in the front. It usually is in the front of the refrigerator. So yeah. And that just parlays right into shifting limiting beliefs.
yes.
Because what you just said is indicative of really not putting in the effort to do the research,
Mhm.
putting in the effort to learn your body type,
Yes.
to learn where you are, not just your body type, but where you are in the stage of your life,
Mhm.
because it's not a one size fits all approach,
No.
right? But anyway, off of the weight, back to the intention. If we have limiting beliefs or convictions that are negative, that's going to impede us from moving forward
Yes.
in achieving any goal, because we in our minds really don't believe that we can achieve it.
Mhm.
So, what are those convictions that you've carried forward that you're constantly ruminating over that's keeping you in that position of stagnation,
Yes.
in that position of intention deficit disorder, that's keeping you from moving forward?
Mhm.
Because you have to remove the doubt, and you have to remove the negative narrative that you're having with yourself.
And it may be difficult to determine what that is because it's probably become so part of your narrative that you're not even conscious of what you've been telling yourself or what somebody else told you that just stuck.
Right.
As we were talking, I believe it was earlier, that quite often a lot of people, they heard something in school, it was probably, said as a person of authority or a person that we respected.
Mm-hmm.
Usually one of them said something negative to us and it stuck.
Right.
And therefore it's controlling our, behavior.
Exactly, because it becomes a blocker
Mhm.
for achieving what it is that you want or intend to achieve,
Yes.
because you repeat that negative narrative in your subconscious mind.
Yes.
And until you sit down and really think about, why I said I want to do X. Why have I not even attempted to move forward in the direction of accomplishing that goal?
Yes.
Whatever it may be going back to school. Who told you you weren't smart enough? Who told you you weren't capable enough? Who said that you were too old to sit in the classroom with 20-year-olds or 18-year-olds? Who said, what created that barrier that prevents you from achieving what it is you intended to achieve?
Yes. Now, I will just do this. It's going to sound like a plug, but it's not really a plug, it's a statement of fact. The difference between hiring a coach and going to a therapist. A therapist is going to dig up all of the soot and you will probably have to relive it. A coach is going to say, we're going to bypass that. We're going to reprogram.
We're moving forward.
Yeah, right here, right now.
We're starting now.
Yes. So you don't have to relive, any of that. But if it's really serious trauma that you're dealing with, then yes, it's recommended that you really do get therapy. But the other thing besides, things like bridging that or getting over your IDD is other things that you can do on your own is you can do self-hypnosis, which is what affirmations are, but you can go a step deeper and you can do things like listen to audio or quote unquote audio and video like YouTube, things of getting affirmations. It's better if you use headphones because therefore it's going directly in, and you want to do it as you're going to sleep because there's two times that you are more susceptible to being reprogrammed on some kind of level is right before you fall asleep and right when you're waking up. So those are the two times that you may want to insert, as soon as you wake up, recite your affirmations, maybe right before you fall asleep, listen to some, some hypnosis or affirmations, because there's now you're reprogramming your subconscious.
But what also really tends to work is, again, I'm going back to the visualization, having sticky notes.
Yes.
Even if it's just in a vertical line down your bathroom mirror. So the first thing that you see, other than hello, beautiful, in the morning, you see what your intentions are. And that also allows you to hold yourself accountable to what your vision is for yourself.
Yes. And if you choose to do that, here's another hack. You move those sticky notes. If you leave one in the same place, this goes back to how our mind works. We glance at them, but we're not digesting them because it becomes part of our...
Becomes routine.
Yes, it becomes routine. So what you do is you leave them up in the mirror, but you change them. Or maybe even change the order, insert some new ones, but you just want to, you want to make a change because that will then trigger your brain to actually look and pay attention to it. So you got quite a few hacks. See, yes, I have about 12 sticky notes on my mirror that I have not moved in 3 years. Okay. So what everything comes down to is that you are going to have to take action. If you want to make a change in your life. And again, if you are someone who truly suffers from not following through on intentions that are beneficial to you. Now, think about that. If when I was in college, I remember this, and people brought this up years later. In a meeting, I said, why is it that when I got to go around and collect dues for our, for the club that we had in college, I have a hard time finding people. But whenever we gave a party, somehow everybody knew about it. Hmm? So we cut the money for the party. People, oh, can I come back? Can I come back later? No, I can't keep coming back. Or just don't find them. But somehow, when that party was on the weekend, everybody knew about it. Now, I bring that up because there are probably things in your life that you do follow through on. Mhm. I think, for instance, people who go out of their way to watch, say, a game or to see something on TV. Now, some of you might be too young to remember, the NBC Thursday night lineup back in the 80s. That's when the Cosby Show was really hot in a different world. People, they rushed home to watch those 2 hours of TV. It was, I think, like 4 sitcoms. Or you rush to get to a game. So you have the ability to follow through. But you ask yourself, am I following through on the things that matter to me?
Well, that's what it is. They're following through on the things that matter to them in the moment,
Mhm.
but not following through on those long-term things that will impact them in the long term.
Yes. Mhm.
I
Things
mean,
that are truly beneficial.
things that are
Yeah.
beneficial, not focusing on those things that are beneficial now that will have long-term impact, positive
Yes.
impact, because it requires work.
Yes.
And a lot of us have gotten so bogged down by life that we really don't want to put in any additional effort than what it takes to make it through the day,
Yes. Mhm.
work day, home, family, dinner. All of those things play a part in it. But we have to find not just the courage, but the inner strength to move beyond the lackluster approach to life.
Mhm.
I'll put it that way, right? Because we can, even after we've set a goal and we've hit it, we can still plateau.
Oh, yes.
Because it's like after you win a game and you come down off that high, what's next,
Mhm.
right? So it is a never ending cycle, but living life on purpose means that we are always in a creative mode, a creative state,
Yes.
meaning that goals, you're going to knock some out of the park. Some are going to take a while to cultivate, to hit, but we keep going because otherwise we become stagnant and we're really not contributing to those around us or showing up to those around us and ourselves as our best selves.
Mhm.
So,
Now, it is, the tagline on our health and wellness platform is on I Am Well is your your being healthy is the best gift you can give to your loved ones. And that really applies to other areas of our life. And if you want to go on a larger scale, when we become the best version of ourselves, we're exuding something into what they call the universal consciousness. We're actually adding something, whether we're aware of it or not. So as we become better, we actually contribute to the overall, we'll say, goodness. But even on, again, a smaller level, again, just going back to that one thing, I'm actually at two. Think about it, if you're healthy or if you're constantly learning, and then think about people in your family, especially if you're around children. Think about the brain, the mirroring neurons. You're actually setting people in your family in your close proximity, you're setting them up for success the more successful you are. Granted, I know there's going to be some haters out there that don't like to see you succeed, but we're not talking about them.
nope.
That shouldn't stop you from trying to be the best version of yourself.
Right. Keep them in your peripheral,
Mhm.
not in your direct line of sight, but don't lose sight of those people because you want to make sure you know who's coming at you from the
Right.
side. But go ahead,
Yeah.
coach.
So you think about it, I'm gonna say the challenge for say this week is sit down, with yourself. I say, you can meditate on this and say a prayer. But after that, you want to sit down and think about an area of your life, that you've been stuck or that you just know for a fact You've just been procrastinating. And ask yourself, uh, what is holding me back? Mhm.
And really spend some time,
Mhm.
because 2 or 3 minutes, you're not going to come up with the answer.
No. Mhm.
Because you've been stuck for a long time. You're going to have to spend some time uncovering, peeling back those layers to really challenge yourself in identifying what that difficult intention or goal was.
I think-
All right, Edwina. Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you next week.
Now, there are three things in that little space that you just mentioned, Coach Mitchell, like, we talk about you pray on it, mhm. You can meditate on it, and you can actually do a third thing. You can simply sit and just ask a question. Mhm. When you put a question out there, all right, into the universal space, you'll get an answer.
Absolutely.
You have to, again, be open to it, because depending on who you are, will determine how your answer comes back. But your brain has this, again, I'll call this magical way, if we use it right, that it will provide answers. I know some of us probably say, yeah, I never got the answers on those tests I was taking that I failed, but this is different. All right? Mhm. But if you seriously think about, something that's, we call them empowering questions, you will actually get a response back. You just have to be open to receiving it. So you want to start with that, your conversations that you're having with yourself.
Mhm.
Sit down, kind of figure out what's holding you back,
Right.
and then
And
put
then,
the action plan.
exactly. And ask yourself, how will I feel once I accomplish this goal?
Mhm.
How will I feel? Because that's a big one.
Yes.
And then ask yourself, why haven't I started?
Mhm.
What are my next steps? Which leads right into what you were saying. You got to develop your plan.
Yes.
How are you going to get there? How are you going to get there?
And you hit on something too, by asking yourself, how will I feel when I accomplish this? It's huge, because there is you're putting yourself into this, as I say, you're putting yourself into a place as if your prayers have already been answered, that your intentions have already been, realized, and you hold on to that, because that will move you.
Mm-hmm.
And you stay there, and then you pretty much know, once I hit this goal, what's going to be my next goal?
Exactly. Because each question leads to another question.
Yes.
But each one of those questions will trigger a response from you that will help build the steps that will lead you to achieving that goal.
Yes.
What is the exact thing that I will need to do? Well, maybe I need to make a phone call because I need to ask some questions. Maybe I need to call the bursar's office to determine how I enroll. What's the cost? Yeah, it could be any number of things, right? So,
And with each one, if you feel a little hesitancy or resistance in you, you gotta stop again. Why do I feel this resistance? Now, as you say, I used to call it bursar's office. But if you feel something in you, I don't want to do that. Ask yourself why.
why?
Mhm.
Is it fear?
Yes. Mhm.
Is it fear of the unknown? Is it fear of incompetence? Is it fear of failure?
Yes. Mhm.
And if it's fear of failure, my suggestion to anyone who is fearful of anything is fail forward.
Yes.
Just move anyway. It's like, as a kid, kids have the most amazing ability to be daring and take insurmountable risks, right? They have no idea what it means to jump off of a couch onto a glass tabletop coffee table, right? There's no fear around that until after they do it. But they know in the failure of busting their lip or their head, that they will not do that again. But you have to admire the tenacity of youth, the risk takers in them, because they take the risk. They make the attempt, they take the step necessary to find out whether or not they're going to be successful
Yes.
in whatever action they're taking.
So you ask yourself, is that an issue for you for making a change? Or the other thing, when early stages of my entrepreneurial career, there were people who were talking about the fear of success. Mhm. So,
Yeah, because they have no limiting beliefs. I'm responding to Denise's statement. Children are born fearless.
yep,
They have nothing to base.
no, because we're born with, I think, two innate fears. I think one is of loud noises, and I think the fear of falling. I think those are only two
Right.
fears that we're born with. Everything else
It's
is
learned behavior.
yes.
It's learned behavior.
So again, you have the power to make all the the changes that you want. It's just whether or not you want to use those powers. Uh, it takes effort, but here's the thing: it gets easier to execute. The goals may become more challenging, but it gets easier to execute because you're going to like the high that you experience when you start to see the results.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're afraid to take that next step, if you have been living with attention deficit disorder and you want to move beyond your limitation, we have an amazing suite of products and programs
Yep.
and resources to help you move beyond your fear.
And here's the beautiful thing: a lot of them we offer for free, just to get you started. Mhm. Uh, which I think that's a good time to make the segue into the change that we're making, that some of you might see. Our intent, because of all of the uh, resources we have, and they're under different brand names based off of what they offer. Now, like I said, from the health and wellness to the education for entrepreneurs to the power of now, and the suite of other products and services, we have actually brought online what is known as the I Am Ready network. That's where all of our video content will be available. As you can see tonight, we kind of expanded our streaming. So we're slowly trying to make this happen, expand our reach, but also centralizing where you can find us. And one of the things that we ask is that, again, you go out on YouTube and you can find us in two places. Basically, you will find Coach Mitchell's page, which is Let's Talk About It.
It's Mitchell Slade at Guru Life Coaching.
And then you can find my stuff will be on I Am Ready Network. And just go out and just do us a favor and just like those pages. There is a purpose by simply you liking it, which is beneficial to us long term. So, and again, as we get more content, that'll be one. Our video content will be appearing on YouTube. So you can always go back and look at it, and then we just ask, invite other people to come with you next time as we improve this. We hope again that it'll make you, get you closer to being a better version of yourself.
Absolutely. And we don't take it for granted that you took the time out to spend an hour or so with us tonight to talk about, the power of now and the intentions that we want to live by. So we are grateful that you stopped by, and actually for those that participated, we're really grateful that you engaged in the conversation and engaged in the discussion, because that's what we want you to do. We don't want this to be a dialogue between Coach Darren and myself. We want you guys to participate, ask questions, and or bring up topics that you want us to talk about that are relative to your everyday life.
Yes.
And as Coach Darren was saying, please go out on YouTube, like our YouTube, watch or just play the video in the background, because it does serve a purpose in the long run in getting our visibility out there. So, Coach Darren, you have any other nuggets on the attention deficit disorder?
I would say just, anybody who knows me knows one of my phrases is just start walking. So as far as your intentions, we shared a lot of things you can do. So just make that first commitment that I'm going to do this now.
Okay, Deb says she tried to search YouTube. We'll make sure we post the links and the channels on the Power of Now's Facebook group page so that you have access to it and you have the right channels. Because when you're trying to memorize off the top of your head and in the moment, sometimes you may get some of the information wrong.
Yes. Just again, a quick thing is the YouTube handle for the I Am Ready. Again, to get to YouTube pages directly, it's www.youtube.com/the @ I Am Ready Network. And that's it. That should take you direct to the page. And then for your page, Coach Mitchell?
Mitchell Slade at Guru Life Coaching.
So, searching for it. I don't know why. I don't know if it takes. Yes. Yep. There's Ray. Ray just put it in the chat. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
So again, we may hit some glitches in this expansion, so bear with us. I think you got a space in there.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong.
So I just ask that you bear with us, but we're trying to make this happen and make content easily accessible to you.
Absolutely.
Anybody
So-
have any questions?
You're more than welcome, Denise. Thank you, Ray.
Yep. Awesome.
Denise, Deb, Ray, Edwina, and for all of those others that were out there watching, we are grateful for you as well for taking the time to stop by.
Yes.
I'm Coach Mitchell.
I'm Coach Darren.
It's been a wonderful session. Thank you all. We wish you an amazing night
And
week, and we'll see you back here next Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Yes, and one thing, look for our next health and wellness session. Hopefully you'll come to that as well.